Let's talk about the 1953 CIA overthrow of Iran's democratically elected prime minister. What happened in 1953? The British and the United States joined forces to overthrow Mohammad Mossadegh. Mossadegh was the prime minister of Iran, elected in 1951, this fiery nationalist figure that stood for reclaiming the sovereignty of the Iranian people by kicking out British influence and nationalizing the oil company. Anglo-Iranian Oil Company was the single most profitable British corporation at the time, the source of almost a third of British oil. Now keep in mind at the time, yes, after World War II, Britain is no longer the world's superpower. That title belongs to America at this point, but they still are a significant power, and their power depends mainly on the might of its navy. If its military prowess is dependent on its navy and the navy is dependent on oil, you can imagine how any threat to the security of this asset is going to be an existential crisis. The British basically owned the rights to oil under a vast territory in Iran. The Iranians only got 16%. They tried to renegotiate the terms. The British were unwavering. Problem is, so was Mossadegh. Mossadegh was finally elected in 1951 by the parliament. He said, the condition of my accepting is that we also nationalize the oil company. They did that, and that led to a huge crisis. The British were eventually kicked out, especially after Mossadegh realized that the British were planning some sort of coup against him. The British realized, now we have to persuade the Americans to help us. The British even wanted to invade Iran, and Americans said, no, we're not going to have that because you are going to create even more chaos in this country, and you're going to push them right into the arms of the Soviets, and we can't have that. Remember, this is the Cold War. That is the number one strategic priority of the United States: prevent the world from collapsing into the sphere of influence of the communists. Eisenhower succeeded Truman. The British managed to persuade Eisenhower that if they do not act soon to overthrow Mossadegh, the chance of Iran falling into the arms of the Soviets is high. So that is finally what convinces the CIA, who is just chomping at the bit. They need to get the green light from Eisenhower, and it's time to deploy their operatives to carry out this mission.